something is not quite clicking with him.
Dude, I am firm in my belief that losing to a person that you chose to play against really messes with your mental game.
There's no question.
So here, moving into game number 2, down the lower left-hand corner of the map, he is only one game away from potentially being eliminated from this tournament. This is Oz. Over here in the upper right-hand corner of the map, playing for Slayers as the blue Protoss, this is Alicia.
Yep. I actually got to sit next to Alicia on my flight. Was actually a real treat. Didn't know him that well, but now I do. He's a really, really friendly guy.
Sweet fellow.
Yeah. He's really, really excited to be here, liking to travel. Oz has been traveling a little bit more than Alicia.
Now, was this Oz's first showing on Fnatic?
Yes, as far as I know, unless you played an online cup as Fnatic
right,
Oz.
or something in between. Sure.
I highly doubt he did. There was not enough time, really. And that's really important as well to note. But I think Oz is really happy on Fnatic. Within talking to him about it, he seems like he's really made a pleasant transition. His leaving FX Open was not really something that was an uncomfortable leave for him. They just had different values, and you know, I'm close with both teams, Fnatic and FX Open, and it was a very, very smooth transition from one team to another. And oftentimes that's not the case.
FX really likes that spanking new talent. You know what I mean? Like the guys that are gonna grow with the team.
That's a great way to put it, man. And Oz has made one of the smoothest transitions here that we've seen from one team to another. It's always really, really important to have that. We do see second pylon before gas going down for Oz. Making that gas a little bit later. You can see on the production tab, Alicia's finishing up way, way sooner, which is something we saw in the first game. And I really liked that aggressive pressure from Oz. The build was good. It was a nice fake. It's made his opponent spend so much gas on sentries. That's something you never want to do.
Well, it also just happened to be that Alicia had already taken 2 gas so quickly anyway that he was already in a position to stop whatever Oz was going to try to do. Right? Like if he had had 1 less sentry, Oz would have had much better luck pushing through there.
Yeah, you're right. And that sentry defense that he built as a defense for the first 4-gate push, the sentries didn't die. He built up energy on those, and that's what allowed him to hold the second wave.
Yeah.
So that's something that kind of worked out in his favor in an unusual way. You see a second gate going down for Alicia with his second gas. We see Oz doing the same. Core timing's very similar here. You can see the gas a little bit higher, of course, for Alicia since he got his gases earlier.
Yeah, that's going to pay off at least a little bit moving into here. So what are you expecting to see? What does Oz do in this situation? He's only 1 game away from potentially being out of the tournament. He obviously felt that he had a pretty strong build moving into game number 1, and then you get, shattered.
Yeah, he got shattered. I think he's going to play a little bit more patiently this game. I feel like this game might be the game Oz goes for Colossi. It's something that he kind of tends to avoid early Colossi. And I say early, I still mean I think he's going to do it off of 2 base. He's not going to do a 1-base Colossus push. But I don't think he's going to try to use Blink here. This is a map where you can blink. There's several different locations to blink into the main bases. Blinking into the main where the ramp is not even that easy, but there's several locations where you can blink in from the side. It's a great map for blink backstabbing. But even so, we just saw last game, Oz going for blink. Didn't work out for him. Being the aggressor is not something that I think Oz is executing correctly these days in PvP. That's why we see him trying to do the Nexus first build. That's why we see him doing a 1-gate expand into 4-gate. He does not feel comfortable to be the aggressor, and that's why I think he's going to... Well, he's making the Twilight Council right now to prove me wrong, but we'll see exactly how he wants to use that.
It's like, well, if I can hear, I'll show you how I can be aggressive. I mean, maybe after the first game, right, that we were kind of talking about, we're not sure if these Phoenixes from Alicia are going to be pretty good. And now he's got a little bit of a melee out here in the center. Man, those 2 Stalkers and 2 Zealots.
Yeah, he's doing a
really
lot
doing
here,
some
man.
work.
This is actually really, really scary. If he gets up there...
Oh, he's only going to have 1 force field. Oh, wow, he actually could have gotten all of his units up that ramp.
Yeah, Alicia got really lucky there.
Huh. I'm actually surprised that he stuttered with those.
The thing is, I think Oz was like, well,
maybe he's maybe he has units up there.
Yeah, so I think he was thinking well, if I send all of them, they'll get split and lose my units. So he didn't count on Alicia making that mistake. So from our perspective, it looks like, why didn't he go up there? But from his, he's like, well...
Yeah, why didn't he just assume that his opponent was going to miss something very crucial that you almost never miss?
Exactly. Great control here by Alicia, trying to pick off this Stalker, kind of counter pressure out here with his Stalkers that came out. Back at home for Oz, his Twilight Council is actually finished. He's getting that Blink research going. He's also getting a Robo, so he's going for that Blink Stalker Observer build that perhaps Artosis is the most common. He always is the one talking about that. Oh, this is the best build in PvP. Talked about it for a really long time. It's kind of fallen out in Korea. But this Blink Stalker Observer build is good for backstabbing. You expand with it. If your opponent moves out with Colossi to attack you, like we see Alicia getting the Robotic Support Bay right now, you blink into the main, force him to turn around. If he doesn't turn around, you base trade with Blink Stalkers. It's a really, really cool build. It's a great build on this map.
Right, and that's going to be a fine trade for you as well, because you're going to be able to move and close the distance between the map much quicker. When you do finally have to engage the other opponent's army, you're going to have Blink.
Yeah, and with when you have this build, it works best against someone going one base Colossus. It just absolutely does. If someone expands against it, what do? Your expansion just a little bit later, and you're like, oh, I can't really use my Stalkers that well. So I was reading into what Alicia would likely do here very, very well. And the thing is, with this, Alicia, if he doesn't push out and he decides to expand, even so, Oz can do a little bit of harassment. You might be able to pick off a Colossus or two, depending on how well Alicia positions them. So Alicia's going to have to be the defensive one here, even though he doesn't want to be, because he's going for the fast Colossus. If he decides to move out on a big map like this and Oz is poised to defend, he will lose the game almost 100% of the time if he's not ready for the Blink Stalkers. He has to be prepared for that.
So I'm actually at least a little bit surprised to see that Oz has been a little bit more passive with his Stalkers that are already out. He's had Blink done for like 30 or 40 game seconds now.
Yeah. You're right.
He was like waiting to start his expansion before he moved out, but like you can do that when you're on the map.
Usually you move out with the Stalkers, go to the edge, and kind of hang out at the edge and wait for him to move. You either have an Observer, a Zealot, a Probe in position to see them move out, then you take the advantage to blink in. Oz now positioning his Stalkers, but he has been spotted by Alicia, so Alicia is not going to move out. But again, Alicia with no Nexus right now, Oz starting to get a little bit ahead there. He's going to pick off this Pylon on the edge. The Pylon on the edge is kind of a double-edged sword because you spot the Stalkers, but then you lose a Pylon, you lose 100 minerals. So, if Oz loses this Observer, that's huge. And he does lose it. That means he no longer has the backstab potential into the blinking into the main base. It's really hard to walk up the ramp on this particular map. So Alicia may actually decide to push as a result now.
Well, that's going to stop all of Oz's aggression, and now after seeing that, he's probably figuring, okay, well, generally my opponent is, wow, and now he's actually losing 2 entire Stalkers there, putting Alicia in a pretty comfortable position. We didn't really see Blink get utilized as well as I'm sure we would have hoped.
Yeah, I mean, losing the Observer means no more backstab potential. I think Alicia's going to go check up here in the main one more time to see. Looks like he wants to wait before he goes and pushes. He's going with 1 Colossus, and he might go with these 3 Immortals. He started his own defensive Blink now, and that's where I think he's going to go for the push. But if he waits too long, Oz will have made a return on that Nexus. So I'm not 100% sure on how I feel about Alicia's play here, how he's done this. He has not seen the Nexus. I think that's the most critical thing here, because he doesn't really know exactly what Oz had planned. It could have been an aggressive one-base Blink Stalker push to punish an expand. He doesn't quite know how much he's committed to this. He doesn't know really anything until he sees this Nexus, which he will see now. And as a result, will he push out, or will we see him do like he did last game and just kind of take a Nexus second?
Which actually worked out so well for him. And now we can actually see, a little bit of harassment coming out of Oz, but of course Alicia's going to be able to thwart that. He only needs to buy a few more seconds until he has Blink of his own. Oz forced to blink away, escaping with only 3 HP on one of those Stalkers. Yeah,
see, I think he's just going to hit with this timing with the 1 Colossus, several Immortals. And as far as I know, he does not have range. No, he does not. But even so, the 1 Colossus makes such a difference. He has the counter blink ready. As you were mentioning, it's going to finish up in just a few seconds. This is going to be a tough push for Oz to hold. This is the game-deciding push. This is Alicia saying, all right, your Nexus has been up for too long. I have to kill you now. He's going to lose his forward Pylon Probe, though, and that is going to make things a lot easier for Oz. The next closest Pylon is so far away. It's all the way on the other side of the map next to that watchtower.
Oh man, and now we see Oz going for a bit of engagement there. I don't think that he's expecting Alicia to have Blink of his own. Oh man, and now he's actually going to be chased into a corner here. Oz losing so many of his units, those force fields restricting the directions that Alicia can run to, and now he is eliminating the rest of those Stalkers that Oz has, and now he's going to basically be forced to fight against the Blink army with no Stalkers of his own.
Yeah, these force fields for Alicia will be critical as there are so many more Immortals out for Oz.
Oh, wow.
Nice micro on the Colossus that forced Oz to target fire a little bit. The Colossus still doing some extra damage here, and he wastes so much DPS. Oz targeting down the Colossus while he's going back, and that allows Alicia to push forward, and he will take this game, taking out the last Immortals on the low ground. The Nexus is now exposed. Oz with a huge micro mistake targeting that Colossus as it retreated, wasting so much DPS on those Immortals. That was what turned the tide, Rob.
Oh man, and now we can see Oz forced to try to use probes in desperation to salvage what he can of this game. But Alicia, I mean, I think that Oz unfortunately lost that last fight for himself. It wasn't
He
so
did.
much that like Alicia totally won the game. First we saw Oz use a lot of those stalkers, lose all of them as he moved down to that area where you normally see a third, and then he followed up by also just focusing a little too much on that Colossus as it got out of range.
It had so few hit points. I would have rather even seen him blink 2 stalkers for it to target it down rather than trying to target all of his immortals. He lost so much DPS with his most important unit, the only advantage he had left. GG. Alicia taking the series 2-0, not too surprising considering Oz's PvP results recently. I feel like Oz he does not quite know how to be aggressive when he wants to be. The way he opened that game up, he couldn't really find the opening. He lost his Observer. You lose the Observer, that's all the power that your push has. You can't backstab anymore.
Right, and that, I mean, that really, took the piss right out of it.
Yeah, and just the targeting, firing with the Immortals there, it wasted the DPS of 5 Immortals to kill a Colossus that has like 20 hit points left. That was when he lost control of that battle. I want to hear your thoughts, Apollo and JP, on this match.
I mean, it's a pretty straightforward match. Oz having a tough time with PvP, as a lot of people have been saying online. 2 PvPs here at the tournament. I think he went 0-2 in both, and now he's going home. So that's not a fun tournament for him.
Yeah, it's kind of really weird because, I mean, I haven't followed Oz that much, and especially in the GSL, but when I did start following him, it was basically when he was quoted saying, you know, PvP is full skill. I'm actually really good in this matchup. And then I followed his progress after he said that, and then like every PvP I saw him play after that, he like lost. I'm like, wait a minute. So it didn't make too much sense. But I think that, like, you guys kind of wrapped it up. It's pretty much straightforward. It was a very straightforward game, actually. I think Oz actually played it great. I think he played it out really well. And likewise for Alicia. I think both of them played their respective roles really well. But at the end, Oz, I don't even know. When you know your opponent's eventually going to push at you, he has to push at you and he has to kill you. There's actually no reason to take a risk and even have stalkers out there anyway. There's actually no reason for them to be there.
And not even
and as soon as he lost
like,
that, he lost everything.
He didn't know that he had Blink?
Yeah.
He
like
didn't.
That like hurt a lot.
That was a little
Because
bit weird.
You don't really have Blink with that kind of Colossus push. Like, you're not meant to have Blink. So he was like
with
not
one-based
expecting that. So he was
He
like,
expected multiple Colossi. He didn't expect the one
Yeah.
Colossus with Immortals and Stalkers.
Yeah.
I mean, the positioning for him in that last battle, like you said, he shouldn't have had his Stalkers out there. He wanted to use the Stalkers to buy time, but he lost his Observer. With an Observer out, you blink into the main, you slow Alicia down every time, but he just did not have that.
So we are going to be ready for the NOS performance replay. Go ahead and take it away, guys.
Right, and this is kind of the crucial moment here, where this is where Oz is like, he's basically saying, hey, I've got Blink, you don't have Blink, I can actually maneuver around really well. He's checking for a pylon down there, and he sees the forces, and now watch him. He's like, should I go left, should I go right, should I go left? And he's like, all right, let's go right. Bam, that's it. That's
If he went left and went into the main, he would have been in a much better position.
Right. As long as he saves those units, right, he would have been a huge leg up, but instead, losing 10 Stalkers right before the final engagement of the game.
And look at
puts
the
you in a rough
resources
spot.
lost. You know, it's almost 2,000 difference from what it shouldn't have been anyway.
Now, we'll see this target firing on these Immortals as well come into play. Targets here. The Immortals are still trying to fire. Now they're not. But next, watch this. He moves forward again when the Colossus comes in. All of his Immortals targeting. See those 2 crab walking around the side? Those lost so much DPS, and then the real Immortals, or the Immortal count just went down for him. The Stalkers of Alicia just tore him apart there.
Yeah.
It turns out, like, I mean, he didn't even target all of them. Like, I thought it was just the 2, really. But that made all the difference in the world.
And to be honest, he could have pulled probes a lot earlier as well. There's actually no reason to keep the probes alive too. And that's a little bit unfortunate, to be honest, guys. And, well, that's how the cookie crumbles, unfortunately, for us. 2 PvPs, 2 losses, and see you later.
Yeah, so
It's true. It's very sad.
ladies and gentlemen, up next, we are going to have Grubby versus Goody when we come back from this, so be sure not to go anywhere.